Hi, people, welcome to the Town Libraries, the story shelf. We are on day 5, story 4, and the series that I have picked for today is Heroes and Heroines, Myths and Tales short stories. And the story within this that I have picked is The Maiden with the Wooden Bowl. From the world of myths and folklores comes a story where kindness, endurance, and faith quietly work their way to every decision that's made, and sometimes the smallest of object have the greatest of meaning. Let's quickly get into the story. The Maiden with the Wooden Bowl. In ancient days, there lived an old couple with their only child, a girl of remarkable charm and beauty. When the old man fell sick and died, his widow became more and more concerned for their daughter's future welfare. One day, she called her child to her and said, "Little one, your father lies in yonder cemetery, and I, being old and feeble, must needs follow him soon. The thought of leaving you alone in the world troubles me much, for you are beautiful, and the beauty is a temptation and a snare to men. Not all the purity of white flower can prevent it from being plucked and dragged down in the mire. My child, your face is all too fair. It must be hidden from the eager eyes of men, lest it cause you to fall from your good and simple life to one of shame." Having said these words, she placed a lacquered bowl upon the maiden's head so that it veiled her attractions. "Always wear it, little one," said the mother, "for it will protect you when I am gone." Shortly after this loving deed had been performed, the old woman died, and the maiden was forced to earn her living by working in the rice fields. It was hard, weary work, but the girl kept a brave heart and toiled from dawn to sunset without a murmur. Over and over again, her strange appearance created considerable comment, and she was known throughout the country as the maiden with the bowl on her head. Young men laughed at her and tried to peep under the vessel, and not a few endeavored to pull off the wooden covering, but it could not be removed. And laughing and jesting, the young men had to be content with a glimpse of a lower part of the fair maiden's face. The poor girl bore this rude treatment with a patient but heavy heart, believing that out of her mother's love and wisdom would come some day a joy that would more than compensate for all her sorrow. One day, a rich farmer watched the maiden working in the rice fields. He was struck by her diligence and the quick and excellent way she performed her tasks. He was pleased with that bent and busy little figure, and did not laugh at the wooden bowl on her head. After observing her for some time, he came to the maiden and said, "You work well and do not chatter to your companions. I wish you to labor in my rice fields until the end of the harvest." When the rice harvest had been gathered and winter had come, the wealthy farmer, still more favorably impressed with the maiden and anxious to do her a service, bade her become an inmate of his house. "My wife is ill," he added, "and I should like you to nurse her for me." The maiden gratefully accepted this welcome offer. She tended the sick woman with every care, for the same quiet diligence she displayed in the rice fields was characteristic of her gentle labor in the sick room. As the farmer and his wife had no daughter, they took very kindly to this orphan and regarded her as a child of their own. At length, the farmer's eldest son returned to his old home. He was a wise young man who had studied much in gay Kyoto and was weary of a merry life of feasting and frivolous pleasure. His father and mother accepted that their son would soon grow tired of his father's house and its quiet surroundings, and every day they feared that he would come to them, bid farewell, and return once more to the city of Mikado. But to the surprise of all, the farmer's son expressed no desire to leave his old home. One day the young man came to his father and said, "Who is this maiden in our house, and why does she wear an ugly black bowl upon her head?" When the farmer had told the sad story of the maiden, his son was deeply moved. But nevertheless, he could not refrain from laughing a little at the bowl. The young man's laughter, however, did not last long. Day by day, the maiden became more fascinating to him. Now and again, he peeped at the girl's half hidden face and became more and more impressed by her gentleness of manner and her nobility of nature. It was not long before his admiration turned into love, and he resolved that he would marry the maiden with the bowl on her head. Most of his relations were opposed to the union. They said, "She is all very well in her way, but she is only a common servant. She wears that bowl in order to captivate the unwary, and we do not think it hides beauty, but rather ugliness. Seek a wife elsewhere, for we will not tolerate this ambitious and scheming maiden." From that hour the maiden suffered much. Bitter and spiteful things were said to her, and even her mistress, once so good and kind, turned against her. But the farmer did not change his opinion. He still liked the girl and was quite willing that she should become the son's wife. But, owing to the heated remarks of his wife and relations, he dared not reveal his wishes in the manner. All the opposition, none too kindly expressed, only made the young man more desirous to achieve his purpose. At length, his mother and relations, seeing that their wishes were useless, consented to the marriage, but with a very bad grace. The young man, believing that all difficulties had been removed, joyfully went to the maiden with the bowl on her head and said, "All troublesome opposition is at an end, and now nothing prevents us from getting married." "No," replied the poor maiden, weeping bitterly, "I cannot marry you. I am only a servant in your father's house, and therefore it would be unseemly for me to become your bride." The young man spoke gently to her. He expressed his ardent love over and over again. He argued, he begged, but the maiden would not change her mind. Her attitude made the relations extremely angry. They said that the woman had made fools of them all, little knowing that she dearly loved the farmer's son and believed in her loyal heart that marriage could only bring discord in the name that had sheltered her in her poverty. That night, the poor girl cried herself to sleep, and in a dream her mother came to her and said, "My dear child, let your good heart be troubled no more. Marry the farmer's son, and all will be well again." The maiden woke next morning full of joy, and when her lover came to her and asked once more if she would become his bride, she yielded with a gracious smile. Great preparations were made for the wedding, and when the company assembled, it was deemed high time to remove the maiden's wooden bowl. She herself tried to take it off, but it remained firmly fixed on her head. When some of the relations, with not a few unkind remarks, came to her assistance, the bowl uttered strange cries and groans. At length, the bridegroom approached the maiden and said, "Don't let this treatment distress you. You are just as dear to me with or without the bowl." And having said those words, he commanded that the ceremony should proceed. Then the wine cups were brought into the crowded apartment, and according to custom, the bride and bridegroom were expected to drink together, the 3 times 3, in token of their union. Just as the maiden put the wine cup to her lips, the bowl on her head broke with a great noise, and from it fell gold and silver with all manner of precious stones, so that the maiden, who had once been a beggar, now had her marriage portion. The guests were amazed as they looked upon the heap of shining jewels and gold and silver, but they were still more surprised when they chanced to look up and see the bride was the most beautiful woman in all Japan. My takeaway from this beautiful little story is that patience and perseverance and sticking to what you have decided only brings the best and much more than what you deserve at the end of the story. So hang in there, hold on there, and something really big is waiting your way. Let me know how you all liked the story and your takeaway from it. See you soon at the Town Library's Story Shelf.